Hello, Ancestry listeners. We've got some exciting news. We're launching our Patreon, and our first bonus content is a new series of episodes we're calling High Ancestry, where Kim takes the reins and answers hard-hitting questions like how many PBRs really do fit in an acre, and why did everyone in the 19th century rock a berries and cream hairdo? We'll release High Ancestry episodes once a month, and subscribers to our Patreon will get exclusive access to them. To get you excited, the following episode is a sneak peek of our first High Ancestry episode. The full-length episode can be found at patreon.com/lowancestry. Enjoy! I'm Karyn Harding.
And I'm Kim McMasters.
And this is
High Ancestry! Welcome, Karyn.
Welcome, Kim.
Today's episode is going to be a little different. And by a little different, I mean super, super different. We're introducing a new sub-series.
That's right.
Sub-series? It's like a series that's below.
Doesn't have to be below. Why below? Why
Well,
not?
It's just smaller.
Why not equal but different?
Okay, that's fair. We're introducing a new sub-series called High Ancestry, which will be an opportunity for me to deep dive and really drag you down with me into the goofy, off-topic wonderments that come up regularly during our episodes.
Yes.
For example, how many PBRs can you fit in an acre?
And we do need to know the real answer.
Why do so many terrible men in history have a berries and cream haircut?
Yeah, the people want to know.
The people know. It's me, I'm the people. How's that sound to you?
It sounds great. I did agree to this.
Yeah, that's true. You did. And no take backsies.
No take backs.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So for today. Now, one of the things that we've touched on time and time again is wishful linking, which is the practice of sometimes haphazardly making connections in your ancestry to link you to some sort of notable person or organization. We've mainly talked about wishful linking in the context of ancestry and family trees. But in the last maybe 2 decades or so, we've also seen wishful linking in the form of DNA testing, which many have called genetic astrology.
So is genetic astrology a real thing?
No, but they're they're talking about it essentially like DNA testing doesn't really mean anything, but people are paying for it because it gives you results that promise you some sort of meaning based on your genes.
Oh, like because of your genes, you can't eat meat well.
Right. Or like you're related to Vikings, which is bonkers bananas crazy.
Prove that.
They can't prove. For example, on some brand of DNA test, I believe, your results will often say that you're 2% Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Which is just...
I think I have that. I think most people do. Yeah.
That's the average Neanderthal gene in every human is going to be like around 2%. It doesn't mean anything. It's just how people evolve.
Wait, I thought we didn't evolve from Neanderthals. I thought that our version of them genocided the Neanderthals.
Now you're getting into real history, and that's not what this episode
is about. I'm so sorry.
I
can't stop it.
That's not what this episode is about.
I can't stop it.
Okay, well, we can circle back to that later.
That's another episode.
Anyway, DNA testing. People have called it genetic astrology because, again, you're ascribing meaning in a way that is really not actually based on any sort of causation. You're just saying, I have these genes, therefore I am, giving myself these personality traits, this value, et cetera, et cetera. So naturally today, I want to talk about astrology.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about DNA testing at all. Although I did
that was just your way to segue into it.
It was just my way of segueing.
I just learned it's not segue.
It's not segue. It's segue.
Yeah, that's my bad.
When I was doing research for this, it came up often. I was like, what's the deal with ancestry and astrology? And a lot of it was like, it's all fakey fake.
Yeah.
And I said, interesting. Let's look into that. So that's what I'm going to do today.
Great. Into the fake we go.
Into the fake we go. Okay, so we're starting with my favorite thing.
Yeah.
History.
Interesting.
Are you ready for this?
I am. Are you?
No. I very well might say astronomy instead of astrology.
Yeah.
That is a spoiler alert for something I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Just go easy on us. That's all I'm saying. So we're starting with history.
I like
And
that you're asking the internet to go easy on us, which is notoriously something the internet does not do.
Karyn, it's my podcast.
Sorry. Take it away.
History.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the history of astrology to start.
No, I think that's great.
I will admit that I actually got a lot of information from Family Tree magazine.
Whoa.
Sponsor
us.
So it's also worth noting that modern astrology has roots in ancient Egypt, China, and India, but today I will be talking primarily about Western astrology. So we're going way, way, way back to Babylon.
Whoa. So was this all just a competition to get further back than I've ever gone?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even make it to BC.
Actually, yeah. So I win?
Yes.
Okay, so I take over now.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
You're my overlord.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I am saying BC, and that's about as far as I go with it. So it doesn't really carry that much weight.
It's just BC.
It's just BC.
Yeah.
Western astrology has origins in ancient Babylon, and Babylon in modern day times is about 50 miles south of Baghdad in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And astrology dates back as far as 2000 BC, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
It's so
well, the stars have been around a long time.
They've been around a long time.
Yeah.
You know what? That's very true. And back then, the science of studying the heavens was very much intertwined with mystical beliefs about celestial bodies and their divine powers. So we have a little bit of science and then a little bit of,
Yeah.
I'm not religious, I'm spiritual,
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone knows that in Babylon, like King Nebuchadnezzar was like really excited about his spirituality blooming.
Yes, 100%. He's a total Leo. I don't know. We'll get into that
Probably.
later. Ancient astronomers would chart constellations, planets, the sun, and the moon to better understand seasonal patterns and to predict celestial events. And by 16th century BC, they had compiled the Enuma, Anu, Enlil, which is a collection of 70 cuneiform tablets containing roughly 7,000 omens.
Can I tell you something that's really, really niche?
Oh my God. Did I say cuneiform wrong?
No, I think that's probably fine.
Okay.
I've always pronounced it cuneiform, and there's a reason for that.
Interesting.
Which is I went to a very small private school that had a very specific dress code. Like, I mean, it was detailed, this dress code. And one of the parts of the dress code is that you couldn't wear any clothing with writing on it. It had to all be like solids or like patterns with no writing.
Interesting.
And when we learned about cuneiforms in my history class, we constantly would make a joke in my class that we couldn't have writing on our cuneiforms, which is ironic because they're all just writing. And that is a niche joke from Christian kids who didn't have anything else to joke about.
That's also like, that sums you up in so many ways.
Yeah. No writing on your cuneiform.
Oh, you're tickled by that, aren't you?
Well, I was back then too.
That's really funny to me. Okay, so cuneiform. Why did I think it was cuneiform? We're gonna look this up now.
Actually, I didn't know how to pronounce segue.
That's true. That's a good point.
Don't trust me with anything.
They had compiled the Enuma, Anu, and Lil, which 70 tablets containing roughly 7,000 omens about how celestial events would impact the king and the state. And as humans are wont to do, eventually these grander political predictions evolved into personal predictions, with the earliest surviving individual horoscope dating back to 410 BC.
Whoa.
Which is pretty rad.
That's very rad.
Which is very interesting because it does feel a little bit to me like astrology has had a bit of a boom in the last some amount of time.
Well, I mean, it's just like, skinny jeans or bell bottoms. It all comes back around.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's such a great point. So 410 BC is the first or the earliest surviving individual horoscope, which is also around the time when the ancient Greeks are starting to record their ideas of dividing the sky into 12 parts, which we know now as
the zodiac.
Yes, that's right, Karyn. That's very good. And that comes from the Greek word zodiakos. Zodiakos, which means circle of little animals.
Oh,
come on. Although that's so interesting because the zodiac includes like people, like scales and twins.
That's true.
A Babylonian priest founded an astrology school on the Greek island of Kos, which set off the spread of zodiac in the Hellenistic world. The ancient Romans then took it and ran with it, and the poet Marcus Manilius wrote Astronomica.
I love his first album.
Are you thinking of Mumford and Sons?
No, just in general, like they always flub it on their sophomore.
That's true. It's such a good point. But Astronomica, which sounds like a Lady Gaga record, if I'm being honest, is the oldest surviving astrology textbook.
That's cool.
Isn't that rad?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this goes way back. Popularity of astrology ebbs and flows as it spreads to the Islamic world in Central and Western Europe. But by the 13th century, so skipping.
No, we're really skipping.
Forward,
Yeah.
we went, by the 13th century, astrology was once again a part of daily life in Europe, and it was influencing fields from medicine to literature. Thoughts about how it could influence medicine?
Like the humors? Like that kind of stuff?
No, but that's actually a great guess.
Thank you so much.
But no, surgeons would literally calculate the stars' positions before they decided to do surgery.
Well, better to be careful.
It's better to be careful. And in literature, astrology is referenced in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales and in Dante's Divine Comedy.
All the hits.
Here's my question, though. If you had a surgeon who was like, hold on a second, I don't know if we can do this today. I need to check the stars. If that happened today in the year 2025, how would you feel about it?
Well, I guess it'd be one of those things that like if that's like his quirk that he needs to do to like do a good job, like who am I?
Superstition.
Like like if he needs to wear like his game day underwear for the surgery, like I'm not here to tell him not to because it's my body that he's cutting.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Okay.
I would have some reservations.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you should.
Yeah, maybe.
It's very interesting. I was expecting you to be like, absolutely not. No way, no way.
It's already a divisive world. I'm just trying to be open-minded.
Open-minded to like which doctor is performing surgery on you.
Yeah, and now we're getting too close to anti-vaxxer territory.
Turn around. Spoiler alert, it's not that deep. So Karyn, time for a new segment that I like to call Is It Science?
Okay.
Based on what you know about astrology and based on our shared commitment to sending each other co-star horoscopes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
would you say that astrology is science?
No.
Are you sure?
I mean, listen. In so much that science is like studying things with like what is it, like you have a hypothesis and you work towards like proving or disproving it. I guess
scientific method.
I think you can do that with astrology. So I guess in as much as you can do that. However, I don't know that co-stars telling me that I should do meatballs and don't shopping. I don't know that that's science.
Co-star will be like, dues today, love letters,
literally
TV,
like, let's
war
look at
crimes,
it. Also,
asparagus.
My day at a glance, you are tough and you are tender, like a piece of meat.
If you guys don't know what co-star is, look it up.
Do acknowledgements, don't running late.
Oh, that's so funny. Let's see what mine says, actually. This is going to be a new part of High Ancestry as we start with reading co-star. Do take out the trash. Slow down. Alkaline water. Don't. Perfectionism. Last minute. Skip rehearsal. That's actually...
You actually skipped rehearsal yesterday.
I literally skipped rehearsal yesterday. I had a migraine.
And I'm not casting aspersions. I'm just saying co-star kind of nailed it.
But my summary for the day is practice your love eyes in the mirror.
Ew.
For why? So you're right, Karyn.
Yeah.
It's not a science. It is a pseudoscience because there's really no scientific validity to speak of, despite it having centuries of millennia.
Well, I think time is not the definition,
no,
right?
Certainly not. No, but we've been looking at the stars for a long, long, long time.
That's so true.
How come we haven't gotten it right yet? There's no evidence. There's nothing that's scientifically valid about it.
Yeah.
In fact, there are lots of men who can tell us exactly why it's not scientifically valid. Karyn, could you name a couple men?
Just any men?
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Okay. Our editor and audio engineer, Benjamin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's one man.
Yeah. You named another earlier. You said Galileo.
Galileo is a man.
That's a man.
That's true. There's a lot of Johns in the world.
It's true. But could you name like one?
Yeah, but I won't like out him.
Yeah, sure. Well, actually,
he doesn't want to be known as a man.
I do narrowcast to him in a minute. So he's going to get a little extra shout out on this episode. None of those are right.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
Which is to say, there are a couple men in particular who really come down hard on astrology.
Yeah.
I think for decent reasons.
Because they're party killers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they probably got their horoscope read at one point and they were like, this didn't happen.
Or like, and I feel like this happens a lot. They were into a girl who's into astrology and she
Yes.
like wasn't that interested.
Yep, exactly. 100%. Let's talk about the first man who really gives us something to chew on about astrology and why it's not a science. Karl Popper.
Yeah, love that. I love his stuff.
He says that astrology is completely falsifiable, which is based on criteria that he developed that says scientific investigations are inherently attempts to falsify existing theories through novel tests.
The scientific method.
If a single test fails, then the theory is falsified. So if you do some sort of test to see if your astrology prediction is right and it's not right, falsified.
Yeah.
Good job, Karl. I'll give you that one. Next, we have Thomas Kuhn. These are all philosophers, by the way. And
yeah, it's like, ugh.
Like, fine. I don't really want to give them a lot of airtime, but
yeah.
Here we are. Thomas Kuhn says it's not empirical, which is
okay.
Also fair. He calls out the fact that astrologers follow a sequence of rules and guidelines, but they didn't actually do any research about it. His quote, "They had no puzzles to solve and therefore no science to practice," which is really cute to think about science as just like a series of puzzles.
Also a little condescending. It was like, if they had just had a good puzzle, then I wouldn't.
Well, he's a philosopher.
Come down as hard on them.
I mean, think about who we're listening to.
I know.
That's kind of why I like math, though. It just feels like puzzles.
Yeah. Do you feel like everyone else is wrong about everything because of math?
That's an interesting jump.
That's what I feel like Thomas is saying.
Okay. I mean, no.
Yeah.
No, but that's something to explore in another episode of My Ancestry.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, so it's completely falsifiable. It's not empirical, and it's also irrational, which Edward W. James really got his panties in a bunch about, saying that astrology has little appreciation of coherence, blatant insensitivity to evidence, no sense of a hierarchy of reasons, slight command over the contextual force of criteria, stubborn unwillingness to pursue an argument where it leads, stark naivete concerning the efficacy of explanation, and so on. So
Covers
James,
a lot of ground.
James just goes like, just like slams into it. And he's got a point.
Just because he has a point, though, doesn't mean I want him at my party.
I was having that exact same thought as you said it. I was like, okay, sure, but he's not coming to the cookout.
No.
Absolutely not. No way. He also provided poetic support for the notion that belief in astrology is fueled by the false cause fallacy, not to be confused with the lost cause fallacy. Hey-o!
Hey, yo, whoa.
Do you know what the false cause fallacy is?
It's like, I'm guessing it's just like the difference between causation and correlation.
Yeah. More or less. I think so. Do you know about the phrase as above, so below?
Yes.
His example was Mars above is red, so Mars below means blood and war.
Okay.
So if Aries is ruled by Mars, Aries is
the god of war,
bloody and warring all the time.
Yeah, notoriously.
So yeah, but also like, have you met an Aries?
Yes.
And
you're one of the least war persons I know.
Don't tell them that. No, it's true. But inside all this, whew.
Oh yeah, like your psyche's warring with yourself.
100%. It's real violent in there. But it's fine. We'll give it to him. Finally, despite centuries of testing, astrological predictions have never proven to be more accurate than chance alone.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a science. It is a pseudoscience. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. And it's really a scathing indictment. I can't believe that you said it was a science earlier. That's like so embarrassing.
I didn't say it was a science.
Karyn, that's so embarrassing.
Actually, roll the tape back.
Karyn, if astrology isn't a science, why do so many of us believe in it? Can millions of bisexuals be wrong? This goes back to wishful thinking a little bit. It's not really about there being any sort of truth. It's not about there being any sort of evidence. It's not about there being anything that's real. It's about looking for meaning. It's about looking for value.
Yeah.
And here's some of the psychology behind the fact that astrology still carries weight for so many people, despite it not actually being a science. Number one, confirmation bias. What do you know about that?
Confirmation bias is when you already have an opinion, and then when you're looking at evidence, you choose the ones that like validate
Bingo.
your opinion.
So, for example, conveniently forgetting that your horoscope said that you were going to make a new friend today, when really you worked from home for 8 hours and then you played video games on your couch for 4. You didn't meet anybody. And then you just kind of go like, oh,
well, I mean, my video game friends.
now that's something to explore at some point. Another factor or another reason why people tend to still believe in astrology is called the Barnum effect, or the Forer effect, Forer, which is really hard for me to say.
Yeah.
Forer?
It'd be hard for anyone.
The Barnum effect is the tendency for an individual to give a high accuracy rating to a description of their personality that is supposedly tailored specifically for them, but is in fact vague and generalized. So it applies to a wide range of people.
Yeah.
So if you have someone like Naylor, for example, who can write a horoscope that is just vague enough and just flattering enough that someone will see it and go, oh my God, that's so me, then you can just woo the masses.
Yeah.
Which I really like. There's also self-attribution, which is, Karyn?
We're so egotistical that we center ourselves in everything we see and do.
Ding, ding, ding. In numerous studies, people with knowledge of astrology tend to describe themselves in terms that are compatible with their signs. Individuals with no knowledge of astrology don't do this. And I bet we all have that one friend who hears somebody's sign and goes, oh, yeah. We've talked about the history. We've talked about the psychology. We've talked a little bit about the sociology. We've talked about all the ways that astrology doesn't matter. And now we're going to do some.
That's what I like to hear. I like to discredit something before I do it.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the sun signs of some of the ancestors that have been mentioned in season 1 of Low Ancestry. And we're going to see if there's any correlation between the sign and the people.
Yeah. Perfect.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. I feel like I'm the only person who will really appreciate this the most. There are other people who may, but I know these people so well.
Yes.
That I think you may be narrowcasting to me.
Well, and some friends of ours who definitely listen to the pod. You're right, though. And I'm going to rely on you a little bit to remind me of certain stories.
Yeah.
But as I was researching this, I do recall very clearly having a couple moments of, oh, interesting. So
we're
going to get into it right now. What do you know about astrology? And I mean
everything you just told me.
Well, I mean in actual practice.
You mean like in my personal life?
Yeah. Do you know the signs?
Yeah,
I know elements?
I know the signs. I'm not a person who, like, if you told me your sign and it's not mine or the people close to me,
yeah,
I don't know what it means.
Mm-hmm.
Even the people close, like you say Aries all the time, and I'm like, yeah, I know, and I don't always. So in that part, I'm not good. But in my own personal chart, I know the top 3 signs,
the big three. Yeah.
CoStar tells me stuff.
Yeah.
And I've looked at the detailed, like, oh, because of your top 3 signs, you're this, and this. And I'm always like, yeah.
Yeah,
read me to filth.
Okay, great. So you're well-versed.
I'm an expert.
Okay. Well, I got a lot of my information while I was researching because I know probably more than you.
Yes.
But I wanted to make sure that I had my facts straight.
Facts.
And I got a lot of my information from astrolabe. An astrolabe is an ancient astronomical instrument from the 6th century. So that's a real thing. But there's a website which has a lot of information. So I'm going to break this down into
words that even an idiot like me can understand.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to break this down into elements.
Okay.
And then we're going to get into some of the signs.
Oh, because like the signs that are like air versus water, whatever.
Bingo.
Okay.
Bingo. So we're going to be starting with fire.
Fire.
Which is also because Aries is technically the first sign in the zodiac, and I couldn't tell you why.
Is it Aries the one that like it's your first like life in this world and you're like working your way up?
Well, Aries are known as the first sperm to reach its goal. So is that the same?
God, I hope not. I think this is the one where it's like with every reincarnation, you learn something new. So like, what are you learning in this lifetime? Right.
Mhm.
And then I think it's Aries is the first one where it's like, this is your first go at it.
Mhm.
And then you keep going and you're theoretically like, you keep the thing that you learned from the previous life and then you're like destined to learn something
So I'm
else.
on like step 1.
Which is tough.
That's tough. That's tough. I got a ways to go. Got a ways to go. We're starting with fire. Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. And Aries is also the sign that has a good bit of ancestors from season 1.
Whoa.
Yep. So
it shows.
You think so?
That it was their first time it was their first life to try to get it right.
Actually, boy, we'll see. Okay, we'll see if we hold to that. So I've got a couple just basic descriptors of the elements and then also the signs. And then we're going to talk about the ancestors. And then I'm also going to share some famous Aries, Scorpios, etc.
Perfect.
So fire is the active physical part of human nature. It is the heart of mankind with its bravery and its daring and its struggle to move ahead. Very interesting to me because fire moves pretty quick as far as I know.
Yeah.
It is self-involved and full of energy for work or play. Those born under fire have a dauntless nature and a mission to forge new ground, to bring new loves and new understandings.
Oh.
Which is a nice way to think about it.
Do you resonate with that?
Kind of. I mean, the heart of mankind. I do feel like I operate with my heart in a way that is problematic. Self-involved can be a little bit. Full of energy. Don't relate to that one. Not one bit. A mission to forge new ground. I don't know, but new loves and new understandings. Yeah, I can get behind that, I think.
Perfect.
So Aries. The ruler of Aries, as we mentioned earlier, is
Ram.
Ruler, planet, celestial body.
Mars.
That's the one. You got it. Perfect. The symbol for Aries is the ram, which you got right.
Obviously.
Keywords for Aries: independent, action-oriented, decisive, aggressive, which is what I really resonate with.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're decisive?
No, aggressive.
Yeah.
That's the one. Aries are known as the spark plug, a trailblazer, an instigator, the initiator, the first sperm to reach its goal.
Huh.
Which I really hate quite a bit.
Yeah, you don't feel like a sperm?
No, I absolutely don't. According to Chani, if Aries is your sun sign, it doesn't guarantee you a life of ease and fame, but it does indicate that you possess a reservoir of vitality, courage, and strength. You're a natural leader, and others look to you to light the way.
That's so interesting because you're so notoriously wanting to be the second.
Love to be a number 2.
You love being a number 2.
Love to be second in line.
You don't want to blaze the path. You don't want to be the first sperm.
I don't want to be the one making decisions, but I will back your decisions up with my whole chest.
Yeah.
And that's
I find
the
that very
truth.
interesting.
Well, this is just my sun sign. So just based on this, we know that Aries is aggressive, a go-getter, quick, fast, passionate. Do you have any guesses which of your ancestors might be in Aries? I'll give you maybe two or three.
A go-getter? Like from the
yeah.
first season? Well, I'm going to guess Bartley Corbin because I know that you're going to talk about him. And then maybe like one of the Kilmers?
Very good.
Thank you.
Not Bartley Corbin.
Whoa. He was a go-getter for all the wrong reasons.
It's true. Jonas M. Kilmer. William Frederick Kestelou, which is from our episode with Kathleen Larson. Josephine P. Dine.
Yeah.
Pierre Chastain.
Whoa, okay.
And Carrie O. White, which is really interesting to me. I mean, the one that really yelled at me was Kilmer and also Kestelou.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's like a vibrance and like an artistic flair.
Well, there's also a business aspect to it.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And now my favorite part, famous Aries. I'm going to do this for every sign.
Okay.
Thomas Jefferson, Mariah Carey, Elton John, Leonardo da Vinci.
Love him.
King Wilhelm I.
Oh, yeah.
And Lady Gaga.
And Kim McMasters. And also 6 of our other friends. Yeah.
We have a lot of Aries in our lives.
So many Aries. Not me, though. Couldn't catch me with it.
No, absolutely not. Another fire sign that actually, it's so funny to me that you mentioned both Corbin and Kilmer, because this is Bartley Corbin and Dr. Sylvester Andrel Kilmer.
Yeah.
Sagittarius.
The first of his name.
The first of his name. Sagittarius.
Oh.
Which is also a fire sign. What do you know about Sagittarius?
Almost nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what the symbol is?
Saggy. Something saggy.
It is the archer.
Oh.
Which I actually didn't know personally.
His bow's saggy.
Bingo. And the ruler is Jupiter.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Keywords for Sagittarius: buoyant, adventurous, idealistic, philosophical. Buoyant kills me.
I feel like idealistic makes sense for Kilmer.
A hundo P.
Because he was like, I believe that these herbs will cure cancer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not buoyant. I don't know what is.
Now, Corbin, that's interesting. That makes him sound like a dreamer. But I guess he dreamed that only white people would live in Georgia.
Well, peep this. Sagittarius is known as the explorer, the gestaltist.
Close to Gestapo. I think that's interesting.
Quote unquote, go big or go home.
And he went big and did go home.
Yeah. He went big and then he took big and made it his home. If Sagittarius is your sun sign, you will likely be philosophical, confident, and optimistic. You will shine the brightest when you're free to seek answers to life's deepest questions, however you see fit, especially through traveling the globe, acquiring certificates and degrees, or gushing over the wonders of nature.
Actually, you know what? Bartley Corbin did join the army and like travel to different states in the army, which is not always so typical of people of that time.
Bingo.
And obviously, Dr. Kilmer, he got a lot of degrees in a lot of different places.
This has Kilmer all over it.
Kilmer all over it.
It's easy for your Sagittarius innate enthusiasm to get the best of you. So cultivating a sense of restraint will keep you from exaggerating or coming off as insensitive. When you're able to chart your course, you become a role model to others.
Kind of.
And Kilmer sure did exaggerate.
Oh my God. He was so dramatic.
Oh my God. I think about that all the time.
He's so
that
alone.
letter he wrote. He's
so
alone. Poor Kilmer. So those are your fire signs.
Sorry, can you remind me what month is Sagittarius?
Sagittarius is the end of November into December.
Okay.
So all of the signs have a starting point around, I think, the 20th or 21st.
Okay.
So Bartley Corbin, November 25th. Dr. Kilmer, December 19th.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it for fire signs. Relatively tame, all things considered.
I think so.
Oh, and you know what? I forgot to do the famous ones. Okay. You want to know the famous Sagittarius?
Yeah.
Joseph Stalin.
Okay.
Winston Churchill.
Yep.
Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Twain.
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj.
Mm-hmm.
Walt Disney.
Yeah.
What a crew.
What a crew. Dream blunt rotation.
So, Karyn, let's sum it all up. Okay. Why do we believe in astrology?
We don't.
Why do we wishfully link via astrology? Because we just went through so many signs.
Yeah.
And we know that astrology is a pseudoscience. But you still play the game with me. You said, where do we find in our ancestors these traits?
You actually literally told me, please play in this space with me.
Well, you're not supposed to say that out loud. So why do people buy into it? Why do we wishfully link between the stars in our everyday?
Because the idea that life is a meaningless void is hard.
That's true.
And so if there's like a pattern and meaning, that just feels nicer.
That's true. I'll share a couple of my reasons.
Oh, okay.
Sense of control. An obsession with wellness.
Can't relate.
Mental wellness. Well,
can't relate.
Interesting. Compound trauma.
Can relate.
Can relate to that one. And I think, like we said before, we're always looking for meaning. We're looking for some sort of answer.
I mean, in a world where there's meaningless harm, when you can ascribe meaning to a bad thing, then that bad thing doesn't have to happen just in the void, right? Then it's like, if a bad thing happens, it's not this like heartbreaking, meaningless tragedy.
Yeah.
It means it's a part of a bigger story.
Yeah. Sometimes an explanation can make something feel not as overpowering.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So if, you know, my horoscope says like, you're about to get a big financial break and finally get a job, I'll be like, oh, so all of this unemployment, there was a meaning, there was a purpose.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And that's going to feel better than knowing that, anything could go wrong at any time.
And anything could go right at any time, but it might not.
Whoa. That was like a shred of optimism from you. That's new.
Yeah, I added the might not at the end.
I know, still cautiously optimistic. I want to sum up this whole discussion with just a couple quotes from Harper's Bazaar, January 2023. The mystical services market, which includes astrology, mediumship, tarot, and palm readings, is estimated to be worth $2.2 billion globally,
Let's get a slice of that.
with an average growth of 0.5% per year since 2017, which that made me wonder post-Trump, or I guess the beginning of Trump. Did
Can you
we
say
all
more?
seek to look into astrology and the occult as some sort of explanation when something so unexplainable happened?
Oh,
Which
like
is him becoming
collectively?
president? Yeah.
But don't you think that was happening before him?
Average growth of 0.5% since 2017.
I was
It's
actually
a very small percent.
I was actually thinking COVID, because then it's like that sort of like universal trauma.
I mean, that surely could have been another fun tidbit. 62% of Gen Z and 63% of millennials say their zodiac sign accurately represents their personality traits, with many also leveraging astrology to help make life decisions from dating to career direction and even finances, including property and investments.
I mean, if you're living through, 3-4 recessions?
Yes.
It's nice to think that the stars could help you when the economy can't.
But let's just take a step back.
Okay.
The stars are not more reliable than logic.
Yeah, but they hurt less.
It's true, they do hurt less. It is very interesting to me that both Gen Z and millennials are like neck and neck in believing.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Because we've lived in unprecedented times the whole time.
Bingo. How do you feel?
I wish astrology was real and that we could ascribe meaning to the meaningless void.
Is this going to change how you interact with it?
No.
Me either.
Okay, great.
So we are the problem. Karyn, thank you for playing with me.
Thank you for playing with me.
Thank you all for listening to...
I like that we're looking at the camera when it's dead.
That's right. Thank you all for listening to High Ancestry.
Yeah.
Please stay tuned.
Pay us.
Pay us. Well, if they're listening to this part, they probably have. Pay us. Please pay us. Any amount. Check out our Patreon and stay tuned for more of this.
See ya. I mean, okay, bye.
Low Ancestry is written and produced by Karyn Harding and co-hosted by me, Kim McMasters, with original music and audio engineering by Benjamin Malk. Original cover art was designed by Christina Swanson of Swansong Creative. Resources pertaining to today's episode and a link to the official bibliography can be found in our show notes or at our website, lowancestry.com. All research was conducted by Karyn, but she's been known to be wrong on occasion. So if you'd like to connect with Karyn or even send her a correction, you can email us at connect@lowancestry.com or find us on Instagram @lowancestry. Genealogy is, after all, a community effort. Thank you so much for listening, and if you like what you hear, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love to hear from you, and frankly, we really need this.